into the Monday edition of Main Street Sports Today. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Chris Yao. We're coming to you live from the Lee Company Studios here in Columbia. This is our Monday Mirror. There's not a whole lot to look back at from this past weekend.
Enough that we've got a couple things, but that's, news-wise, but not a whole lot of, we had a little college basketball, had a little high school wrestling, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what jumped out at me over the weekend. And apparently my mic isn't working.
That's fine. I can hear you.
You can? Okay, well.
It's interesting.
Yeah. You can hear me.
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. How important
was the clash at the Coliseum when they could move it up a day and it not be a big deal?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure it was a big deal to somebody, but it's not really that important. It's literally just
it's an exhibition.
So you get it in when you can, and you're already there. You've already put the road down and everything, so get it done.
I guess they don't necessarily expect people to come in from great distances for that. And because moving it up a day from Sunday to Saturday, you would never do that with Daytona.
No, well, yeah, obviously moving it. I think if you can move it to Saturday, you're better off than moving it to Monday because of a rainout, though, right?
I guess. But
because
if you've got people traveling that are planning on being there Sunday.
Okay. You're not a NASCAR guy.
No.
Buddy, they've been there since Tuesday. They've been drinking since Monday at 5 when they left to get there on Tuesday. They're fine.
Okay.
They gonna be there.
So this gives them an extra day to get right.
Out. Yeah, they can get that. This gives them an extra day to get out. So yes, anytime you can get it done ahead, perfectly fine. Okay. You push it to Monday, and then the crowds get iffy.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, so
but to answer your question, not that you didn't already know, but no, I'm not a NASCAR guy.
I'm giving you the benefit of that one there. So, but yeah, it's moving it to Saturday was not probably ideal for television purposes. Luckily, they were on a channel that ain't got nothing else going on. Well, there's just not a lot of live sports. We just talked about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why.
Yeah. And
so it's interesting how that does play a part.
So you do it on Saturday and then you replay it on Sunday, right?
Exactly. Because why? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway.
Well, that's probably about all the NASCAR you're going to hear today.
Yeah.
But big show. We have friend of the show, Charles Pulliam from the Williamson Herald, joining us in the second hour. We're going to talk a little bit of high school wrestling as he and I, among others, are recovering from the state duels that took place this past weekend, Saturday specifically, up at the Williamson County Ag Expo, and talk a little bit about how that went. Here in a bit, we are going to visit with Fox Sports' Eric D. Williams as we try to get ready for Super Bowl LVII. Testing your Roman numerals here, Chris. 58.
Yeah. I got there, but oof, it's been a long time since fourth grade.
But yeah, so we'll be talking about that. Also, a little NFL, little college football coaching moves, as they seem to continue to be talking points in different places. We got our MON-STARS. Well, you've got your MON-STARS.
You haven't gotten yours yet?
I do not.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'll come up with something though. And the future format of the college football playoff as we go to 12 teams following the 2024 season. So we'll be talking about what folks are talking about as far as that goes.
Yeah. There's apparently drama.
No.
High drama.
Really?
involved thanks to the Pac-2. So I know you're shocked that is a talking point. That's a problem for the Pac-2, but
nah. How much of a problem is it really for the Pac-2?
For the Pac-2, it's not a problem at all.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought.
it's everybody else who's upset.
Since neither of them is going to get in.
Oh, but they still get a vote, which is the problem.
That's funny. That's funny.
You can I'm just telling you, be mad at all the teams that left them. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go. Absolutely.
Don't be mad at them for looking out for themselves.
Don't be mad at them for being the only two remaining. I mean, they didn't tell everybody to leave.
That's right.
But yeah, we're going to talk about all of that and more here in the next bit. But Chris, before we do anything else, we need to give the people this weekend scores and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
Friday girls basketball action, Hillsboro 58, Cane Ridge 39. It was Summit following the Centennial 46-41. Cheatham County Downs Harpeth 55-37 and Clarksville a 49-37 winner over Rossview. Clarksville Northeast down Kenwood 63-43. Spring Hill fell to Columbia Central 68-38. Cookeville was a 46-44 winner over Lebanon. And Father Ryan down CPA 47-34. Cornersville down Culleoka 52-43, while Davidson Academy got past Friendship Christian 51-37. It was Donaldson Christian 47, Nashville Christian 31. Good Pasture 46-29 winner over Ezel Harding, and Creekwood Downs Fairview 57-36. Franklin Road Academy 59, Grace Franklin 41, Gallatin 62-41 winners over Riverdale. Giles County falls to Franklin County 48-32, while Beach edges Green Hill 49-45. Henry County with a 12-point win over Dixon County 46-34. It was Houston County falling to McKenzie 43-40. Valor Collegiate 36-27 winners over Hume Fogg. Huntland falls to Eagleville 50-48. Franklin edges Independence 40-37. Stratford 51, Kip Nashville 10. Stewart's Creek 46-22 winners over Laverne. Loretto downs Lewis County 61-6. That's accurate. Okay. Portland falls to Macon County 47-28. Murfreesboro Central 41-29 winners over Marshall County. McGavock downs John Overton 58-50. Mount Juliet falls to Hendersonville 48-39. Summertown 72. Mount Pleasant 15. Jeez. Brentwood 46. Nolensville 36. And Oakland 52. Blackman 51 in a thriller.
Also, Page with a 75-35 win over Ravenwood. Providence Christian defeated Battleground Academy 67-41. Richland with a 62-19 win over Hampshire. It was Cascade 45, Santa Fe 42. Rockville with a 43-39 win over Siegel. Wilson Central defeated Smyrna 64-43. Springfield 62, Kirkwood 36. Station Camp with a 50-33 win over White House. Sycamore defeated Montgomery Central 68-11. Trousdale County 66, White House Heritage 49. Tullahoma 53, Lawrence County flip it 35. Clarksville Northwest 61, West Creek 31. Westmoreland with a 35-14 win over Liberty Creek, and East Nashville defeated Whites Creek 61-22. Tough weekend to be a Creek. Saturday, Cornersville with a 59-17 win over Hampshire. It was Dixon County 49, Kenwood 38. Clarksville Academy with a 48-35 win over Friendship Christian. Liberty Creek bounced back with a 41-30 win over Greenbrier. I guess the Creek rose. Middle Tennessee Christian 58, Grace Franklin 31. Boys basketball action on Friday. Hillsboro with a 66-55 win over Cane Ridge. It was Centennial 54, Summit 39. Cheatham County with a 63-50 win over Harpeth. Rossview 54, Clarksville 39. Clarksville Academy down Mount Juliet Christian 64-39. And it was Columbia Central 48, Spring Hill 35.
Cookeville, an 80-44 winner over Lebanon. Father Ryan down CPA 72-63. Culleoka big win over Cornersville, 64-50. Davidson Academy, 63-60 over Friendship Christian. Nashville Christian falls to DCA, 54-41. Good Pasture, a 59-55 winner over Ezo Harding. Creek Wood falls to Fairview, 70-65. It was Gallatin 59, Riverdale 53. Franklin County, a 57-54 win over Giles County. Green Hill falling to Beach in a thriller, 60-58. Henry County, 58-51 winners over Dixon County. Houston County, a 60-50 winner over McKenzie. Hume Fog downs Valor Collegiate, 57-21. Huntland falls to Eagleville, 63-51. Independence with a big win over Franklin, 67-42. Joe Burns edging Knowledge Academy, 69-66, and Laverne was a 61-57 winner over Stewart's Creek. Glencliff falls to Lawson, 53-37. And Lipscomb Academy downs Montgomery Bell Academy, 60-54. It was Loretto, 80. Lewis County, 34. Portland, 39-31 against Macon County. Marshall County, 66. Murfreesboro Central, 57. Maplewood falls to Martin Luther King, 54-36. Overton downs McGavock, 62-48. Mount Juliet, 44. Hendersonville, 33. Mount Pleasant with a big win over Summertown, 73-53. Nope.
29 points, 11 rebounds from Ryan Benderman in that one.
Nolensville 56, Brentwood 53. It was Oakland 43-38 winners over Blackman. Page downs Ravenwood 54-44. That's a big one there. Pope Prep gets a 64-55 win over Innsworth. Providence Christian downs BGA 77-66. They continue to slide, does BGA. Mm-hmm. Red Bowling Springs 68-46 winners over Nashville Christian Central. Richland downs Hampshire 65-17. Santa Fe falls again to Cascade 56-51. Siegel 72. Rockville 54. Wilson Central 62-39 winners over Smyrna. Kirkwood a winner over Springfield 73-43. White House 48. Station Camp 46. White House Heritage 67. Charleston County 66 and a thriller there. Marshall County 48-37 winners over Tullahoma. Watertown downs Monterey 54-44. Webb School defeats Middle Tennessee Christian 81-44. And the Creeks bounce back on the boys' side. Liberty Creek 36, Westmoreland 32, Whites Creek 51, East Nashville 49. That was a great one, by the way. I don't know if you saw the ending on. There was some Twitter video out there of the ending of that one, and it was fantastic. Zion Christian defeats Franklin Christian 78-68.
Hey, was that Marshall County 48, Tullahoma 37, or was that Lawrence County as it's written here, 48-37?
I have no. If it's whatever it says, Lawrence County.
Yeah.
No. Huh? I have Lawrence County 48, Tullahoma 37.
Okay. You read Marshall County 48,
okay,
and it threw me off.
I apologize.
That's fine. All right. Saturday boys basketball action. It was Cornersville 65, Hampshire 29. Kenwood with a 53-52 win over Dixon County. Clarksville Academy defeated Friendship Christian 58-53. Greenbrier with a 47-31 win over Liberty Creek. Grace Christian of Franklin 62. Middle Tennessee Christian 53. University School of Nashville with a 60-55 win over Webb School. Men's college basketball action on Saturday. Tennessee goes to Rupp and has, well, I won't say no problem, but they scored 100 points, defeating the Wildcats 103-92.
Only the third time ever in that arena.
In that arena that an opponent has scored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First since 93.
Been a while. Missouri State 87, Belmont 80, Tennessee State 79, Southern Indiana 74, Lipscomb with an 84-82 win over Jacksonville. Austin Peay defeated North Florida 95-91. Western Kentucky with an 88-65 win over Middle Tennessee State. Campbellsville 75, Cumberland 73. Fisk defeats Oakwood of Alabama 61-57. It was Ohio Dominican 81, Trevecca 76. UT Southern with a 79-55 win over Dalton State of Georgia. On Saturday in women's basketball action, Austin Peay 63, Queens 38. Kennesaw State 62, Lipscomb 59. Tennessee State with a 65-58 win over Southern Indiana. Middle Tennessee State 80, Western Kentucky 48. Campbellsville, Kentucky 73, Cumberland 49, Fisk with a 67-55 win over Oakwood. Trevecca defeated Ohio Dominican 101-80, and UT Southern defeated Welch 76-60. On Sunday, Tennessee with an 80-69 win over Missouri. And
hold on, before we go, we have another game. No, just kidding.
No,
we don't.
No, we
Just
don't.
kidding. That's today.
Mm-hmm. And in the association, the Celtics 131, the Grizzlies 91 on Sunday.
High school basketball tonight, 6 o'clock girls games, boys to follow. Spring Hill's at Coffee County at 6, Culleoka's at Cornersville, Fairview welcomes Montgomery Central, Hampshire goes to Frank Hughes, Gallatin's at Green Hill, Cheatham County's at Harpeth, Houston County's at Hollow Rock, Brewston Lipscomb Academy welcomes Webb School, Franklin Christian is at Merrill Hyde, Moore County is at Murfreesboro Central, Pope Prep welcomes CPA, Shelbyville is at home against Columbia Central, Laverne goes to Stewart's Creek, Creekwood's at Sycamore, Victory Baptist and Pleasant View Christian at Victory. Wilson Central welcomes Trousdale County. And girls only action tonight at 5:30. St. Cecilia is at Innsworth and Harpeth Halls at Father Ryan at 6. And in women's college basketball, Welch is at UT Southern at 6. And on the SEC network, you can catch Vanderbilt at Memorial Gymnasium against Alabama and the Fighting Carly Weathers.
The Fighting Carly Weathers, and I feel like Loretto will be well represented at Memorial.
Likely.
It's going to be interesting. Loretto's black and gold, Vanderbilt's black and gold.
How do you get around that? I don't know. We'll see. But that, folks, is your rundown.
Today's top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over in Neely's Mill here in Columbia. Be sure and go through there for your delicious daily deli lunch options. They also have hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10 at the register, so be sure and check that out.
It is delicious indeed. Today's top story, Mo, comes from college football. We'll start the show with college football. We'll end the show with college football.
Well, there's always something to talk about with college football.
Always.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Kalen DeBoer, the new Alabama football coach, running into some issues. A to Z Sports reporting that there are allegations that DeBoer has tampered with Arizona quarterback Noah Fafita, the reigning Pac-12 I guess it was 12 last year. Okay. The reigning, I guess the last.
Not defending, though.
I guess the last Pac-12 freshman of the year.
Not necessarily. Again, they've got 2 years to rebuild it. So I'm not saying last. I'm just going to say reigning. For now. Because he's not defending.
No, he's not.
He is just simply reigning.
Yeah. Noah Fafita ascended to the role of starting quarterback, QB1 for the Wildcats over the course of the season, and the Wildcats won 10 games. So apparently that looked pretty good to somebody in Tuscaloosa, because Fafita's dad is saying that Alabama reached out to them, said, hey, why don't you come play here? We've got Jalen Milroe. We've got Ty Simpson. We need somebody else in our quarterback.
Oh, not just those two. The kid from Washington that transferred with DeBoer.
That's
Clearly, right. Kalen DeBoer does not feel like Jalen Milroe is capable of playing college football quarterback.
Well, maybe he's been talking to Bill O'Brien.
Maybe. It's not the last time you'll hear his name in the show either.
According to Les Fafita, we had 3 reach out for sure. Alabama is the only one we were really interested in outside of Arizona and staying, and obviously Washington. Fafita is not in the portal.
That's correct.
That's illegal.
It is, in fact.
So
I'm not okay. So these tampering things, one, Tony Vitello had to sit out 3 games for Maui Ahuna. That's, I mean, tampering is no nothing. That being said,
now that's 3 games in a 56 game schedule
in baseball. I understand that, but he still got a a suspension from actual games.
Contests. Okay, so let me get my calculator out real quick.
Caden Proctor, former Alabama offensive lineman who is now transferred to Iowa, is self-reporting a tampering violation after a poor performance from Proctor in a game earlier this season. An Iowa coach texted him to, quote, hang in there. But Proctor said,
come on now.
Proctor said, hey, they texted me during the season. And I'm just saying, I don't think they're equal.
Well, I guarantee you this. Caden Proctor won't hear from that assistant coach again.
Well, I mean,
ever at any point.
Unless I don't believe he's gotten fired, so he probably will, considering that Caden Proctor now plays at Iowa.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so I don't think the guy got fired.
Okay, so what was the pre-existing relationship between them then? Had he
Caden Proctor's from Iowa, and yes, they recruited him. Yeah, it literally is a hang in there. It wasn't, hey, if this don't work out, you still got a home here kind of thing. It was just I built a relationship with you, and I want you to know that we're
thinking about you.
Yeah.
I hope things get better.
It's the lowest of the low thing. And I don't think that this is the same thing. I'm just saying that I don't think the NCAA has levels of tampering. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe they should.
But this is a level 3 in the self-reporting from Iowa. So I don't know if this will be a self-report from Alabama as a level 3.
I don't know.
Or if there are levels of tampering. Because Tony Vitello, again.
3 games.
Which is
0.64.
So he might have to sit out a half.
Yeah. Caleb DeBoer may have to sit out a half again.
The first half of the first game
UTC
against
whoever
they play that first game.
Yeah.
But that's it's interesting that the NCAA, I think the NCAA may have to institute levels of tampering.
Well, I mean, if you're going to call hang in there tampering, then yeah, they do.
Because that's not tampering to me. That's simply.
Come on, showing some concern for a kid.
Yeah.
You got anything else before we take a break?
I'll be honest with you. I don't. I mean, I probably do, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds on this thing.
No.
Because I do feel like there's a serious situation regarding Jalen Milroe and, of course, what we care about, Ty Simpson. I think somebody's going to have to answer some questions at the University of Alabama. So.
Yeah. Well, when we come back from this break, we are going to visit with Charles Pulliam of the Williams.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We're going to visit with Eric Williams of Fox Sports. There we go. My bad. We're going to visit with Eric D. Williams, talk a little Super Bowl 58. I won't test Chris again. But stay with us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back to the Monday Mirror edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. That's Chris Yao. I'm Maurice Patton, and we are about to be joined by Eric D. Williams of Fox Sports as we talk a little Super Bowl 58 with the 49ers taking on the Chiefs. Eric, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, fellas. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No, man. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Have you made it to Vegas yet?
I am not headed to Vegas this week. I'll be watching on TV like you guys.
Oh, okay. Well, it's, all in all, probably just as enjoyable, if not more so, when it comes right down to it. But, what feel do you have for the 49ers heading into Sunday?
Yeah, I had a chance to watch the 49ers in the NFC Championship game and the week before that in the divisional round. Also had a chance to watch the Chiefs. I was at that wild card game in the cold weather, probably the coldest I've ever been when they faced the Dolphins, who looked a lot colder than I was. The Niners are playing better. They're definitely struggling in the first half of games, getting off the slow starts in those first two postseason games, but then, playing well when they needed to in the fourth quarter. I think the defense needs to play improved if they expect to get a win in the Super Bowl. They can't get off to a slow start and get behind, because I don't think that they would be able to catch up against the Mahomes, and especially the way Kansas City's defense is playing right now. For me, I think the path to victory for the 49ers is Christian McCaffrey early and often, really leaning on the run game and letting that kind of carry the offense, and letting Purdy and the rest of that group make plays off of that. If they can lean on McCaffrey, get ahead early, which was kind of their blueprint to success earlier in the year, then I think they have a chance against Mahomes. But I think if the Chiefs are able to get out early, it's going to be tough for the Niners to catch up.
And past McCaffrey, Eric, do you expect to see a little jet with Debo from time to time, just to kind of keep them honest?
Yeah, that's been the recipe when they want to run the football. Some jet sweeps in the perimeter with Debo to kind of stretch the defense horizontally. And then, you see McCaffrey kind of up the gut, running downhill, particularly left side of the offensive line where Trent Williams is at. So I do expect to see both Debo and McCaffrey running the football and really just making those Chiefs defensive linemen tackle.
Eric, we have a number, all of a sudden, of 49er fans in our area, thanks to former Blackman High School standout Jawan Jennings, who going into the championship weekend, there was a tweet out there that of the quarterbacks involved in championship weekend, he had been the highest rated recruit coming out of high school at quarterback. But so obviously made the transition to receiver and has obviously been impactful for the 49ers in limited opportunities. But they really like him, don't they?
Yeah, he's earned the nickname Third and One because that's who they look for in those critical third down situations. And he's made a number of big plays throughout the year and was one of the guys that stepped up when Debo got hurt a couple weeks ago. So he's their number 3 receiver, but both Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy have a lot of trust and belief in what he can do in critical moments. And he's really he's really shifty in the middle of the field, getting open and creating separation. Made a nice one-handed catch, I believe, last week, which was an important catch for them to kind of continue that drive. So yeah, a lot of respect for his game.
I think it was his only catch.
Might have been.
But it converted a first down. Again, your third and Jawan situation there. So you talked about the 49er offensive mindset going into this one. How do you get Kansas City slowed down? Because again, for all of the slip-ups that you saw out of Kansas City during the regular season, that offense seems to have found some consistency and found another gear here in the postseason.
Yeah, a couple different things that I think the 49ers are going to need to do defensively. First, you got to figure out where Kelsey is on the field, and you got to double him. I think you really just have to take him away and make Patrick find other receivers on the field to move the ball and move the chains. And then I think the second thing is Pacheco. You got to tackle him, and it's got to be all 11 getting to the football. The Niners have struggled, stopping the run throughout the year. Arizona Cardinals put over 200 yards rushing. The Giants were able to run the ball against them. And throughout the playoffs, both Green Bay and Detroit have been able to effectively run the football. And so the Niners defensively up front, they have a lot of one-gap guys that like to get up the field. They really have to do a good job of kind of, defending the run first and handling their responsibilities in the run game before they try to get after Mahomes. I feel like if the Chiefs are able to run the football and control clock, again, I think that kind of works in the Chiefs' favor, particularly with the way they're playing defensively.
Eric D. Williams of Fox Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Eric, this is an interesting Super Bowl. Obviously, San Francisco expected to be here. I don't think halfway through this season that Kansas City fans or anyone else expected the Chiefs to be in this game. Is there pressure on San Francisco because they were the, favorite to make the Super Bowl and obviously playing a team that was not necessarily expected to get here? Or is it, they're the defending champs and we still have to beat them to take that crown?
Yeah, even though San Francisco's favored and we're expected to be here, I still feel like the pressure is on Mahomes and the Chiefs as defending champs and trying to be the first team in over 20 years to win back-to-back Super Bowls. This is a legacy game for Mahomes. If he wants to continue to kind of chase Brady and get those rings at his age with a team, like you said, that wasn't necessarily expected to be here when you looked at what they were doing in the middle of the season. For me, I feel like there's more pressure on Mahomes than the Niners, going into this game. I did pick the Chiefs to repeat as champions at the start of the season. Felt like changing that pick week 8, but I stayed with it. And I think really the difference for the Chiefs has been Coach Spags and what he's done with that defense and bringing a young group, particularly at secondary, and getting them to play at a high level when they don't really have a lot of money to spend at some of those positions because they're paying Mahomes so much money. So that's really been the difference, and the difference in how this team plays. So Mahomes doesn't feel like he has to go out there and throw for 350 yards. He can kind of manage the game, which he's kind of talked about the last couple of weeks. And then in the fourth quarter, he can come alive and put the game away. And so he's not making as many turnover-worthy plays as he did his first couple of years in the league.
Is there a concern, Eric, as you look at the two quarterbacks with the fact that this is Brock Purdy's first Super Bowl, first time in this environment, under this spotlight, with so much on the line? And he has not been great for 60 minutes in any of these postseason games. Is that a concern if you're a 49er?
Yeah, that's certainly a concern. We've seen it. We've seen Brock at times put too much pressure on himself to make home run type plays, to kind of, get rid of that game manager, moniker, which, people have tried to put on him. I've watched Brock play a lot over the last 2 years. Have a lot of respect for how he's handled himself. I think the thing with Brock, two things that people forget about Brock. He was the last person selected in the draft. So why should we expect him to be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen? He's not those guys athletically, but he's probably a better athlete than maybe people give him credit for. The other thing is he had major shoulder surgery in March. So the fact that he's playing at this high a level, did not miss any time, and has his team one game away from winning Super Bowl, I think he deserves a lot of respect for that as well. A lot of people that had the injury that he had would not be playing in this situation. So that says a lot about his resolve, his work ethic, his ability to work through tough situations. That said, playing in Super Bowl is a lot different than playing in the NFC Championship game or the NFC divisional round, because of so many eyes that are going to be on you watching this game. And it is a legacy game for Purdy as well, because you don't know if you're ever going to be back in the situation. You want to make the most of it. But I wouldn't discount Purdy. He's a very tough kid. He's very resilient. And he's made some big plays and big moments for this team.
Well, and part of the thing is that, like I was just saying, I do think the pressure is on Kansas City, and I'm Mr. Irrelevant. What do I have to lose?
Yeah,
if I lose this game,
I'm supposed to lose it.
I'm supposed to lose this game. You can kind of throw caution to the wind, and as long as you don't make mistakes to lose your team the game, I feel like there's probably a little less pressure on Brock Purdy to win this game necessarily. But boy, wouldn't it be something if he did go out there and throw for 280, 300, and 2 or 3 touchdowns, no picks, they win, and Mr. Irrelevant to MVP? Wouldn't that be something? I mean, my goodness, what a story.
I'm going to Disney World?
Yeah, exactly. From Mr. Irrelevant to I'm going to Disney World. That would be kind of
that
crazy.
Would be pretty great. And so, there is that. And again, it's Iowa State. He's never seen these kind of eyeballs before. So you never know how somebody's going to react to those situations. That being said, San Francisco does have some guys who have played in big games, and it's going to be important for them to, curb the enthusiasm a little bit early, to kind of, hey, I know there's a lot of lights. There are people that you love to see, but how do we, deflate that balloon and make sure we stay on task and win the Super Bowl? So who are those guys?
Well, I'll give you an X factor. I think George Kittle is going to have to play big. That's Brock's security blanket. There's been a lot of talk, obviously, about Kelsey, and for good reason, because of the numbers he put up in the postseason. But Kittle hasn't really had that breakout game. He's had some big catches, but not, that 6-catch, 220-yard 2-touchdown performance that we've seen him make on occasion during the regular season. So I think he'll have some favorable matchups because they have to deal with McCaffrey and Ayuk and Debo. I think he's going to get one-on-one, and that would be a person I would look for to be one of those players that takes some pressure off of Purdy.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch as obviously the Super Bowl comes up, and Kansas City going for the repeat, and just getting back is a feat in and of itself.
Especially with the season that they had.
Particularly.
Because like you said, a lot of people were counting them out mid-year.
Myself included. So Eric D. Williams at Fox Sports. Eric, since we've got you, man, what's the word in LA with Jim Harbaugh? He seems to be quietly putting together a really good staff.
Yeah, no doubt. I was able to attend that press conference in LA Thursday of last week. A lot of excitement for that franchise and that team now with Jim taking over. As you mentioned, he's bringing a couple people with him from Michigan, defense coordinator, mentor, one of his personnel guys as well. I think you're probably going to see Greg Roman land there at some point. He used to be his offensive coordinator with the 49ers. So yeah, putting together a good staff, and Jim's a person that's won wherever he's been, whether it was Michigan, where he started initially, University of San Diego, obviously Stanford, and with the 49ers, took them to a Super Bowl. And that certainly is expectation with the Chargers, with the quarterback that he has in Justin Herbert. They're moving into a new practice facility in June. He's excited about that. And so I think it'll be interesting to see what that roster looks like. There's a number of older guys on that roster. Eckler's going to be a free agent. Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. It'll be interesting to see who stays and who goes. They have some salary cap issues. I believe they had number 5 pick overall in the draft, so they can certainly get a blue chip player to come in there and help with Herbert. I thought the talk about Saquon Barkley, potentially landing with the Chargers to kind of give Herbert some balance in the running game. That's interesting to me. Jim's teams always run the football and are always balanced, so that could make some sense if the Giants aren't able to keep him.
That is interesting. It's very interesting. Eric D. Williams of Fox Sports joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Eric, appreciate your time. Enjoy the couch. And we will catch up with you, man. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Next up on MSST, MON-STARS, as we talk about some of our top performers from the weekend as we look back here on the Monday Mirror. So stay with us from the Lee Company Studios here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be right back.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. That's Chris Yao. I'm Maurice Patton. Next on the docket here on the show are MON-STARS, as we look back over the weekend's top individual performances. And Yao, since it's just the two of us, I will defer to you for your first MON-STAR.
All right, well, I'll start in the Senior Bowl. First sellout, by the way, since Tim Tebow was in the bowl. So
I saw a text somewhere that there are 9 guys that participated in the Senior Bowl that are projected as first-round picks, which would be the most from the Senior Bowl in quite a while. I didn't see specifically how long it's been since they've had that many Senior Bowl participants go in the opening round of the NFL draft. But maybe that's part of the sellout status that they
perhaps
enjoy.
Michael Penix sat out. He did not play, but he did participate.
And again, the game is kind of secondary to the workouts and the practices and the interviews and that kind of thing. So why he's not injured, is he? They had an odd number of quarterbacks.
They had a bunch of quarterbacks.
Yeah. So
like a bunch. So yeah. Don't tell Wazoo cornerback Chow Smith Wade that the game doesn't mean anything, because he returned an interception 83 yards in the final 2 minutes that set up the decisive score for the national team in their 16-7 win.
Wazoo. Chow Smith who?
Wade.
Chow Smith Wade from the Pac-2.
From the Pac-2, baby.
Represent.
Got to give him credit. That was a good job there, and just a great read, and took it 83 yards to set up the game winner. So
he took it 83 yards and didn't score.
Yeah, no, he got it in the end zone. I don't know who ran him down, but he picked off Joe Milton and then hesitated momentarily before realizing he wasn't down under NFL rules.
So he got up?
He had to get up.
Oh, goodness.
And Amani Bailey stopped him at the 1 yard line with 1:38 to go.
Wow. Okay. My MON-STAR, and you know I like picking MON-STARs from losing efforts. And I don't think there was any bigger such performance this weekend than Steph Curry going for 60 in Golden State's 141-134 overtime loss to Trae Young and the Hawks. Are the Warriors done?
They might be. That's a good question.
They are 21-25 following that loss on Saturday night.
They're going to get in, obviously, because they're playing. Dude, Memphis is still in, and they're like 12-47.
I don't know.
There's 9 or 10 teams get in.
Well, see, that's the thing. I don't know how the playoffs work in the NBA anymore. Just wake me up when they start.
Yeah,
maybe when you get to the conference semifinals, wake me up.
They can get into the play-in game for sure. They're definitely getting into the play-in game. Now, past that, don't hold me to anything, but they're definitely getting into the play no matter what. Because like I said, heck, even Memphis is still in play for one of those. I think 8 teams do get in seriously from each conference, which is a lot. So,
wow.
Because I think 8 and 9 play for the 8 seed.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, speaking of the Hawks, by the way, Trae Young, 27.3 points a game, did not make the All-Star team.
It's that
11 assists per game, second in the league.
It's the Atlanta bias.
It's everywhere, huh?
Yeah, in all sports, right? So, all right.
Your number 2?
My number 2. Let's see here. I was going to go back to the well that I have drawn from previously, but I'll wait and see if we get see if he's still available after your second MON-STAR.
Most likely.
But so I will go with. I'm trying to find the girl from LSU's her first name.
What's her last name?
Hold on a second. I got to get to. She had
the young lady from LSU, by the way.
Anisha Morrow.
Oh, the DePaul transfer.
18 and 20. 18 points.
20 boards?
20 boards. So, and they win 106-66 over Florida.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
Yes. 18 and 20. 18 is, solid, whatever, but 20 boards.
Too bad she couldn't get one more basket.
Right. A 2020.
Yeah.
Great.
Let's see. Who's my number 2? 20 boards is a lot. 26 and 13 is pretty solid, though. 26 points, 13 feeds, and that's what Zakiya Ziegler had up at Rupp. And, Kentucky fans and a lot of folks are kind of lamenting that loss, but they were right in that game, it felt like. It never felt, as I watched it as a UT fan, I don't think you ever really felt comfortable.
Until about really until the under 4. Until the under 4, I didn't feel comfortable. Once we got under 4, I was like, okay, we're going to win this. We're up 10 under 4. We're fine. But until the under 4, I was not comfortable at any point.
Yeah. And it's funny. Apparently Rick told them before the game, we're not going to stand around and watch Dalton. And so.
Well, it's a good thing because.
What do you have, 15?
Yeah.
But Zakiya and JoJo James had 26 each. And
in a winning effort, by the way.
I've been kind of waiting on that.
You have. And, I think to some degree that was Kentucky's game plan. Force somebody else to beat us.
Well, it ain't like they can't. Clearly.
Well, but if you go back to the South Carolina loss, they were awful. Everybody except Dalton Connect. And so I wonder if the game plan to beat Tennessee is let Dalton do Dalton and make sure nobody else can score.
I just feel like Tennessee has too many potential scorers for that to be a sound approach or for that to be a winning approach over the long haul.
You only got to beat them once. At that point.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but James and Ziegler and Vescovy and, Gainey, if he gets on a run from behind the arc, and I don't know, man. It's a lot of fun. And not to mention, Adu.
Yeah, if Adu would just get a little tougher, he'd be scary. But he likes to play finesse around the rim, and it's weird. Now he got a little. Obviously, there was a situation where where everything kind of worked out in his favor, even though a terrible job by the officials to offset technical fouls there when only one person deserved a technical foul.
Well, you weren't only going to get one technical foul out of that situation in that environment.
I understand, but
if you weren't just going to call a technical on Kentucky in that situation in Rupp, wasn't going to happen.
I know that.
So,
but it is what it is. My final MON-STAR, I dipped my pen back into the well. Drew Pember, 36, 11, and 7. Dude just continues to impress.
And good for him.
Good for him.
He got somewhere where he could play, and he's playing. The former Bearden standout who originally signed with UT out of high school, stayed there at home, didn't work out, transferred to UNC Asheville, right? And it's killing it. So, by the way, Tennessee slipped to 6th. Well, I guess it was a loss to South Carolina.
They did lose a game.
Well, Kentucky at Rupp doesn't offset that. Clearly not.
Well, they only dropped 1, so it probably did do quite a bit to mitigate how far they could have fallen. But it also doesn't hurt that you beat Wisconsin on the road and they took Purdue to the wire. So,
well, and I guess you had to make room for Kansas
to get up. Yeah.
After they beat Houston.
I still don't know. I still not entirely sure what's up with Houston, but that's neither here nor there. How about South Carolina going from unranked to 15th? Ahead of now Alabama, who, by the way, if the season ended today, would be the number 1 seed in the SEC tournament.
I guess when you beat Kentucky and you beat Tennessee at Tennessee in successive weeks, you kind of get some folks' attention.
Was it? I thought it was consecutive games. Didn't they beat them on Saturday and then
was it?
And then Tuesday or something? It was Saturday, Tuesday.
Well, yeah, it was Saturday, Tuesday.
Yes, so it was, in our minds it is week, but
and there was a poll in between.
Yeah, but
you're
crap.
right, exactly. Yeah,
they did it within 5 days. Yeah, you can't. There's not much you can do about that. You just got you got to say, all right, South Carolina's a real deal.
So, my third and final MON-STAR, an Iron Woman MON-STAR, because Tamia Scott played all 40 minutes in Middle Tennessee State's 80-48 win over Western Kentucky.
For what? Wow.
I'm not questioning anything Rick Insell does. I'll let you.
Okay, but what if,
Don't.
I'm just saying, let's.
Don't put that ugly on me. But no, 26.7 boards in 40 minutes.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
And not a bad night at the office, but yeah, I think that's a valid question, but I'm not going to ask it. Anyhow, those are our MON-STARS.
Let's take a
presented by you if you want to get at us. Anyway, when we come back, we will visit. Can I say it now?
You can now.
We will visit with the Williamson Herald's Charles Pulliam, talk a little high school wrestling, not wrestling. Stay tuned.
thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic. This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSSAA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama, so the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
You heard it just then, from preps to pros. Welcome back to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. That's Chris Yao. I'm Maurice Patton. We are coming at you from the Lee Company studios here in Columbia, and we've done the pros. It's time to do some preps with our friend Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald as we talk a little state duels wrestling. Oh, look at this guy with all of his lanyards.
That is a lot of lanyards.
It's a lot of lanyards, a lot of passes. Yeah, I've talked about this before. I never had the foresight to keep them all of that stuff, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was trying to keep it all. This is definitely not all of them. Let's put it that way.
Charles, appreciate you taking some time with us after getting your barn reset.
There's always something fun going on out here at CC Acres is what my wife and I'll call the property. But yeah, it takes some time.
Horses, chickens, dogs. What else y'all got out there?
Ducks and turkeys. And there's always something going on. Let's put it that way.
Pulliam had a farm.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Hey, goodness gracious, how do you work?
Well, that's kind of the thing. I'm always doing something, guys. Let's put it that way. There's every moment of each day can be taken up, and usually it's a sports related thing. I'm going to tackle a story here right after we get off, and then I'm going to go finish feeding the horses and then get on the road and go out and do my show a little later tonight. So we just keep rolling. Tomorrow is going to be for basketball, and it's always something. And then Wednesday is actually a print day because we do have a printed paper too. So yeah, there's a good variety. Wednesday night I get to be on the radio with Joe Williams covering some basketball, so that's cool too.
Tell us about your show before we get into this wrestling.
Yeah, that's the Wilco Sports Power Hour we do every Monday night at Tony's Eat and Drink in Franklin. And tonight we're going to have Ravenwood boys and girls basketball represented, and we actually have a really cool one too because Nolensville had a couple kids and kind of represented at the Special Olympics state basketball tournament recently. So we got 2 kids coming in that were part of the unified crew there. So excited to have them. And then of course we're going to talk some wrestling too. So a couple Brentwood wrestlers rolling in there after their 3rd place finish this weekend.
Oh, they won't have anything to say, will they?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Summit comes in as the Region 6AA champion and draws Cleveland right out of the box. And Brentwood, the Region 6AA runner-up, gets Arlington for its state quarterfinal matchup. And both those go as you probably would have objectively expected. Tough draw for Summit.
Yeah, and Coach Miller and I talked forever leading up to that, and you kind of just had to switch into it. If you're gonna wrestle for a state championship, at some point you're gonna have to see Cleveland. That's just the way wrestling's gone for roughly the last decade here. Cleveland's now the 7-time defending dual champs, and they've won the last 6 in the traditional here too. So they really are the cream of the crop and right near the top for everything. So you have to face them at some point. As Coach Miller said, it's just going to be like you got to bring a cup of coffee this time instead of watching them in the evening. But you think about what Summit was able to do there. Not the best weight to start at. 150 might have been the worst starting weight class for a Summit, because you got Landon Cassell down at 144. Your defending state champion, nationally ranked, 2 weights up from him. Jarvis Little, the 2-time state champion. There's your gauntlets cut in half, really, and you only got the tail end there. So it's up to the other guys to kind of get you enough points to battle in there. And Cleveland was dominant all day Saturday, and they only gave up, I think, 1 other match, and that was against Brentwood in the semifinals. Ruger Humble picked up a big pin at 2:15, but outside of that, the only other losses on the day were the first 2 matches there, Zachary Little and Braden Leach for Summit. From then on, from 165, you get the Fowler boys in there, Cy and Logan, and then Lucas, Gabe Moore, guys like that. These guys are studs, and Cleveland just kind of flexed their muscles, and Summit's best didn't get the opportunity to roll with Cleveland.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate that they didn't get a chance to get on the mat when it mattered in that particular match, and it kind of set the tone a little bit. But, Cleveland wins that match in the quarterfinals. They get Brentwood in the semifinals. And Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. Well, Damon Smith said, maybe not so much, as he told me.
Yeah.
Hang on. I'm looking for this quote.
I know. I got
we had a tough time with Cleveland.
Let's put it that way.
We had a tough time with Cleveland. We didn't see a path to victory there. We thought we'd see Summit, and we set up our weights for them. So Damon Smith was playing the long game Saturday. And, you on one hand, you don't want to concede anything. I get that. On the other hand, sometimes you got to be realistic.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, it kind of showed Brentwood has been very solid these last few years. There's some great guys. You got a top-ranked 138-pounder in Arash Yazdani. Clark Vaughn is a senior. He's been on the rise here for forever, it seems like. He's an old soul on top of that, but he's a 2-time state medalist. So you got some guys to work around, obviously. But when you're going in to face a Cleveland, you got to be ready, because Cleveland's got, 5 or 6 defending state finalists. So guys that consistently wrestle both individually and as a team and the dual side for state titles. They're just used to it. So it's kind of just a different level there. And it kind of showed right away, opening at 157 in that semifinal. Clark Vaughn wrestling at 157, a solid guy at 157, a veteran wrestler for Brentwood. Got tagged with a takedown there, I think midway through the second period. Cy Fowler opens up with a pin. Cleveland gets another pin at 65. Then they get a decision at 75, and then another pin at 90. And it's, just the landslide kind of starts. And when you're sending out one of your best to kind of set the tone, that kind of shows. And then everybody else is watching, and it's like, whoa, wait, Clark got pinned? Oh, man. So, it's just one of those spots. And, anything could happen on the mats, but it just wasn't a good start for Brentwood. And as you said, playing the long game, they kind of anticipated the idea of, hey, last year they made it to the state duels. This year, talking to all those guys, talking to Smith afterward, it was like, hey, we want to come away with some hardware. So if you can't really get past Cleveland, then it's like, well, what's the next best thing I'm going to have to do? And it's probably going to be against Summit. So intriguing setup how they did that. It starts with Clark Vaughn.
Well, and how much, it's not just talk about the long game. It's not just the state duels that you're really setting your guys up for, because this is a confidence booster for the remainder of the season individually as you continue on through the rest of the state tournament into, again, the individual state championship opportunities. This is a confidence booster for those guys, right?
It's a confidence booster or a motivator, depending on how it goes.
And Pete Miller's going, okay, well, we can play with that. We can play that too.
Yeah. In fact, he kind of pointed that out. He said, we left here with a bad taste in the mouth last year, wound up second in the state in the individual, and that's kind of the plan this time. So, and again, Summit's still sitting there with Jarvis Little, who's headed to Appalachian State, still sitting there with Landon DeSalle, who's headed to Ohio State, excuse me. And, you know, with a bunch of young kids who will probably have similar opportunities at some point as well, including Zachary Miller, who, as their dad said, that gal pin you. But, you know, the Summit Brentwood consolation final match was a reprise again of the Region 6 AA finals that Summit won 45-27. And how you pick up or how you eat up an 18-point stagger like that is impressive.
You kind of got to make up at every single level, and Brentwood kind of did that, especially how it started too. And you know, this was I talked about some seniors there, Arash Yazdani, Clark Vaughn, guys like that. This is a senior laden Brentwood team. I think they got 10 guys out of the 14 weights there that are seniors, plus some on the backside too. But these guys had never beaten Summit. I mean, the last time Brentwood beat Summit in a duel was in 2019, December 2019. So you think about that kind of backing up. They've only faced each other, you know, a handful of times in that time frame, including the last two region championships, and both of those were almost identical scores, 45-27, I think 47-25. So you got a lot to make up, but you're coming against a Summit team that, as Coach Miller said, maybe was a little cocky because they've beaten them and handled them so well, and a Brentwood team that had this one pinned. As we talked to Coach Smith, like this was, we knew we were going to get to this one, and we know we won it, and they got the start they wanted.
Pinned, literally, because each of Brentwood's first 5 wins were by pin.
Exactly, and that's why it was so impressive there, because you know it's all about getting those extra points there. And you know, an Ellison Abramowitz at 106, a Charlie Say at 120, both those kids were in battles.
And Charlie Say was nearly pinned himself.
Exactly. And that was, you know, that's I think it's Noah Hajek, the young man for Summit. Noah beat Charlie in the regional, you know, in the same kind of way where Charlie was kind of in control. Noah flips him around and ends up sticking him just like that. Ellison did that at 106. We saw Aiden Thompson. We saw Henry Drazik. We saw Ruger Humble. All three of those guys open up with decisive first period pins in that upper weight.
Pins, exactly. They weren't just pins, but they were, let me get off the mat.
Yes. And even, you know, Jackson Ard, the big fellow for Brentwood at the heavyweight going against Peter Savarino, that was, I think, their 3rd meeting this year. And each time Jackson is able to gain a little bit of ground. I think he got majored initially. I saw him wrestle at the Father Ryan tournament, and I think that was a 5-1 matchup. And, you know, Art ended up falling late there, but it was a 4-3 decision, you know, just chipping away. And, you know, that's a big motivational thing when you see a guy who's not been able to get past somebody. You're still gaining ground. And then sure enough, you kind of follow suit there. It was really impressive there. But when you're Brentwood and you're starting with your max points and you're getting those in a lot of those swing matches too, when you get to that Summit gauntlet, you know, you need your Summit guys then to win by pin essentially. And a couple of those guys weren't able to do it. So it was like a lose small mentality that Brentwood was able to get away with. And a couple of those guys did just what they had to do.
Well, it wasn't even a lose small mentality. Yeah. It was a win mentality in a lot of those situations for Brentwood, coming up with their highest dual finish since 1998.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a 4th place finish in Coach Smith's first year in 2018, and then you have to go much further back to those early 90s when I think they wrestled for a state championship twice there, and there's just not a lot of opportunity for a dual podium finish for Brentwood, and hey, the guys pulled one out.
Congratulations to the Bruins. What were you gonna say? And so, as Chris was saying, now everybody goes back to their respective wrestling rooms and resets for region tournaments beginning this weekend.
My goodness, yeah, and there's some good ones there.
Yeah, this one here that we kind of concern ourselves with is going to be a lot of fun because you got Summit, you got Brentwood, you got Indy, you got Franklin, Nolansville. Saw Andrew Tomlinson at the tournament. He's like, just checking out where we were supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's
even a Page and Independence. Those were very competitive teams that were knocking off the Cookvilles and battling with the Arlingtons and Bradleys and everyone that we got to see. So yeah, we got Williamson County's top 2, but the other top 2 or 3 would have been able to contend and get a match or 2, I think, at state as well, which was pretty impressive.
Well, and it's been that way in Williamson County. Speaking as a Williamson County wrestling parent, it's been that way for a long time. I mean, you go out there and you watch some of the teams that get there, and it's like, this is it.
And I don't want to sound like a true homebody here for being with my Williamson County guys here, but following Summit over these years and seeing the matchups with the Cleveland, 3rd time in 4 trips to state that they've got to wrestle against them. First time was in the semifinals when they took 3rd. They had the one year where they took 4th. Last year, they actually missed one another. Things kind of have to play out perfectly to challenge a Cleveland team for sure. But Summit in each of the last 4 years has really kind of had the team that's been almost the closest, I feel like. And it was really disappointing to kind of see that first round matchup, obviously, a 9 a.m. showdown against really kind of pitting the tops 1 and 2 against one another. Wasn't ideal. And I know there's a lot of backlash coming out of that, especially on the coach chatter and everything. And there's a lot of things that need to change in how that tournament's seeded. But that's a whole nother conversation. But when you think about how close Summit has been, again, Summit took a couple of those matches and then it wasn't as dominant. Cleveland wasn't as dominant as they were against a Brentwood and in the finals against Knox Hall. I mean, they just absolutely rolled over Knoxville Halls in the finals and forfeited out the final 5 or 6 matches.
Yeah, they were up 38-0 and then forfeited out the final 6 to win 38-36. Don't be fooled by that score.
Mm-hmm. And, Summit didn't have their best stuff. That's for sure. They needed some guys to win at those upper weights. They needed someone to pull an upset at 106, 113 or something like that to set up their guys. They didn't want to start at 150, but they got a couple for them. And that, I think that shows how Summit's been able to grow over these years. And, it's kind of tough now knowing that this is the senior year for a Jarvis and a Landon and who's kind of grown with this and put Summit and Coach Miller and everybody on the map truly, in Williamson County, everybody's elevated as a whole. These guys roll around with the Yazdanis and Vaughns and Spencer Kahn at Indy and Simpson at Page. All these great wrestlers we have in the area all work together and build off of one another. And I think it goes back, 4 or 5 years when we started really building as a true county. It's been neat to see, but it was just unfortunate that we saw that early on and starting at 150 and all these things. Wanted to see that true duke it out kind of duel,
Absolutely. Charles Pulliam of the Williamson Herald joining us here on Main Street Sports today. You can check out his show starting at 6. Is that right?
6 o'clock. Yep.
It's on Facebook. Where else is it?
That's the thing right now. I'm doing some transitions, so we'll have it posted and shared a little differently in the weeks to come, but I'm always figuring stuff out. That's the thing with me, man. I end up having to be my own technician and host and all that stuff. And then I should take some photos while I'm at it and set everything up and buy the gear. And that's right. Horses just tore up my barn and whatever. Right.
I understand.
Yeah. You got to wear a lot of hats, right?
All of the hats.
All the hats. Charles, we appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you
thanks
soon.
for having me, guys. I always love getting to chat some wrestling, and we got a couple good weeks of it to go here.
We do indeed. Look forward to seeing you out there.
See you guys.
All right. Hey, I'm sorry.
To Alaska, go north.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, that's okay. When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, a little football, or a little more football, as the case may be. So some NFL, some college, some coaching moves in both the NFL and college. So stay with us. Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be right back.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back to Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We're coming at you from the Lee Company studios here in Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Chris Yao. Coaching moves. We've had a few more. We've had a few. There's talk of some more. Right off the rip. Dan Quinn has his offensive coordinator in Washington, and it's not Eric Bieniemy. Shocking.
Oh, is it? Oh,
No,
the sarcasm is thick in here today.
Today,
always.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I certainly did not expect to see Eric Bieniemy return, and I'm not sure that Eric Bieniemy wanted to return.
I think that's the thing. Well, what's funny though is if you looked at Twitter, X, whatever you care to call it these days, why didn't Eric Bieniemy get the offensive coordinator job at Washington? Well, one, he probably didn't want it. Two, I never really thought he was going to get it. Once Eric Bieniemy didn't get the head coaching job in Washington, I didn't think he was going to be in Washington, and I never really thought that was going to happen either.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not.
No fault of Eric Bieniemy's, I don't think.
I don't think so either. I'm really curious what's going to happen with him, because it's not like there are a lot of offensive coordinator jobs open.
I'm not sure that there are any.
I mean, I assume maybe Carolina. I don't, but yeah, do you want that one? I mean, the jobs that are open, which and has Mike McDonald hired someone yet in Seattle? That may be an option and would be a decent one, I think. I think Geno Smith's game translates similarly to what Patrick Mahomes is able to do, and the way they play may be similar. He's going to get a job if he wants one.
If he wants one, and that might be the thing. He might just be ready to kind of step off the hamster wheel for a minute.
Honestly, like it's absurd when you go back and look at what Kansas City did this year offensively. Now I know that they had some personnel issues, but I mean, it's clear that Eric Bieniemy was a net positive for the Chiefs offensively. Just looking at the last two seasons side by side. So I don't know how you could not want that guy, in your corner. Now, again, there's still talk that Andy Reid may retire.
I think he winds up back in Kansas City in some capacity.
I don't disagree with that at all. Co-offensive coordinator or just
because I think Andy Reid has that kind of feeling for him. And there was talk over the course of this season, as you talked about, how Kansas City slipped a little bit offensively. How much of that was because Bieniemy was not there?
I think some of it. I think at least some of it. This is which is why I say that he was a net positive in Kansas City.
Sure.
So I mean, that being said, Eric Bieniemy is not the offensive coordinator in Washington.
Cliff Kingsbury is. Former Arizona head coach. Things did not work out so well in Arizona for Kingsbury or the Cardinals. But, I think as you watch football, both at the collegiate and professional levels, one thing you realize is not everybody's made to be a head coach. Maybe offensive coordinator is Cliff Kingsbury's lane.
I don't know. I think the situation was just bad. I don't think Kyler Murray is an NFL level quarterback. I have never thought Kyler Murray was an NFL level quarterback. I think the same thing about Kyler Murray as I do Bryce Young. They're too small. That's it. They're not good enough. And in the NFL, in Cliff Kingsbury's offense particularly, you have to be a very good quarterback. Now, do I think Carson Wentz or whomever the quarterback is, whoever that quarterback may be in Washington is better? I don't know. But it's definitely Kyler Murray is definitely not it. And that's so I'm reserving judgment on Cliff Kingsbury as an NFL head coach
until you see him in a better situation.
Until he's given the opportunity to have a better situation, because the fact is that Arizona put all their eggs in the Kyler Murray basket. Now, that may have been at the behest of Cliff Kingsbury. He may have said, no, this is my guy. I don't know, because I'm not close enough to that situation. And if he did, then all bets are off. But if he didn't, and that was an Arizona decision, not a Cliff Kingsbury decision, then I think, there's some stuff that you can kind of go, okay, well, maybe we have to hold off for just a second and say, I don't know. I mean, he was pretty good at Texas Tech. I mean, He didn't set the world on fire, but it's Texas Tech.
Who was a quarterback?
Exactly. I mean, and they still never lost fewer than 5 games. So, you know, maybe he's not. Maybe he's a great offensive coordinator. I don't know. But, yeah, it's offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury scares me if I'm Dan Quinn. Of course, Dan Quinn's just trying to do anything he can at this point.
Well, I think, and we've kind of alluded to it over the last few days, I think Dan Quinn might just be glad to be a head coach.
He is.
Because if you're being at all selective, why do you take that job?
Yeah, and I mean,
the idea that you would, we saw Ben Johnson, the OC at Detroit, decide to stay at Detroit as OC rather than take that head coaching gig.
Well, maybe he wasn't able to be selective. Maybe Jerry Jones said, geez, Dan, you need to take this job.
Yep.
Trust me when I say that taking this job would be in your best interest.
I would strongly advise you that if you get another opportunity somewhere, you should take it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wasn't selective at all.
Maybe that's
because he did. I mean, Dan Quinn came out and said, I'll take any job that's available, please. He quite literally said, I will take the job if offered.
I will seek and I will accept. Yeah. Okay, so maybe you have answered the question then.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Do the checks clear?
That's all. Well, new ownership. We're in good shape.
Yeah. Okay.
It's interesting.
Very.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a really unique situation when you have a guy who is the offensive minded guy who's been a head coach, a defensive minded guy who is the head coach. Perhaps there's a way for them to just kind of have that symbiotic, co-head coach almost, relationship.
Or maybe it runs off in a ditch.
Or perhaps it runs off in a ditch because Kingsbury's like, dude, I've done this too. Dan Quinn, I coached in the Super Bowl. You blew a 28-30 lead.
25-point lead.
You blew a 25-point lead. Shut up.
So you're saying this could be Harsin Mason North?
It could be. And that didn't work out so well for anybody.
Except Derek Mason.
Well, I mean,
eventually
he ended up, it took him a while to get back, but he had to go to Stillwater to get there. And I'm not sure that's where anybody wants to go.
Was it really worth it?
I mean, Kingsbury ends up back up in Stillwater. He's not going to be happy. So,
well, he's been in Lubbock. How much worse can Stillwater be?
Exactly. Oh man.
Bill O'Brien apparently is in the news.
Bill O'Brien.
And it doesn't have anything to do with Jalen Milroe.
Well, unless Jalen Milroe is going to be looking for a new home in the next 4 weeks. I don't think he'll be playing for Bill O'Brien no matter what, though.
No, unless he wants to go play receiver, I guess. I don't know. You're going from quarterback at Alabama in the college football playoff to receiver at Boston College.
I mean, maybe.
I think there's plenty of places Jalen Milroe could go without that. But Bill O'Brien apparently headed to Boston.
Is he?
Shipping off to Boston.
Like, is it done now?
I don't know that it's done, but that seems to be, that's everything I'm seeing when I type in Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I just didn't know if it was, if I had just missed that it was actually done.
No, I don't think it's done. It's close is the way it's being characterized.
Likely to become.
Yeah.
It's an interesting look. I think this is it's an interesting move from Boston College, but I think it's a really good move by Boston College. Again, Bill O'Brien at the collegiate level had a
has
pretty
been solid.
He's been pretty good as a head coach. 2, it's Boston College in the ACC. It's not like it's impossible. It's not an impossible situation.
No, not at all.
And so an opportunity now presents itself for both of these guys, or both the coach and the team, to reset almost. I love this move.
Yeah, and for a program that did not expect to have to make a hire,
yeah,
it's not the worst hire.
No. I mean, you just go. All you have to do is look at the 1 year at Penn State. Just look at the 1 year at Penn State, what he did under those circumstances, and you think, now again, what he did at Penn State had nothing. He didn't have to recruit. He had to basically chicken wire and bubble gum.
Well, he probably had to re-recruit.
Yeah, he did have to recruit some guys in the locker room, but I mean, and that's going to be a big point going forward. Obviously, in the world that we live in, recruiting your locker room is huge. But I really feel like this guy has the ability, with his style of play, to be successful in the ACC.
And the issues that he had in Houston, wanting to run everything, well, he'll get to run everything at Boston College.
Yeah, they're not gonna mess with it.
So
it's yours.
Should be interesting.
I like the hire. I think if they hire Bill O'Brien, it will be an A- hire. I mean, there are obviously guys out there that could be A+, but Boston College isn't going to go get them. So, yeah. So for Boston College, probably an A+ hire, but for college football, A-.
Yeah. Kentucky in the market for an offensive coordinator again.
Liam Cohen headed to Jacksonville? No. Yes.
I'm not sure. He's headed out of Lexington.
Yeah, he's not going to be the.
I don't think it's Jacksonville. No, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. I knew it was Florida. I just couldn't remember which one it was.
Well, you had 3 shots.
Yeah.
So.
1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah. I guess he'll be replacing Dave Canales.
Yes.
Who took the Panthers job. So, yeah. So,
who's it going to be?
Who goes to Lexington? Well, funny you should ask. Randy Sanders was offensive coordinator at Kentucky at one time, right? Or was he just quarterbacks coach?
He might have just been quarterbacks coach,
but it's not unprecedented that a former UT assistant be on the staff at the University of Kentucky. So
it would, however, be unprecedented for a former national championship winning quarterback at the University of Tennessee. That's all I'm saying.
T. Martin appears to be on the short list to go work with Mark Stoops in Lexington.
Okay, but
I don't like it.
Okay, but I just told you who doesn't have an offensive coordinator right now.
Carolina?
Mike McDonald.
Oh.
And oh, by the way.
Oh. It's a thought. Mike McDonald, former Baltimore DC. T. Martin, current Baltimore assistant.
Quarterback coach. I'm just saying, Mike, do it forever. Do it for us. Vol Nation will love you forever if you keep him out of Kentucky Blue.
Right? Because, eventually they're going to get that thing right. And T's done a pretty good job at the collegiate level.
T's been great.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the problem is, I don't know, man. I don't want to see T. Martin as offensive coordinator anywhere but the University of Tennessee if he was to ever become an offensive coordinator at the college level. I think he does have the ability to. I think he's going to end up being a candidate, if not the choice, in Seattle for Mike McDonald. Once again, maybe I'm just wishful thinking.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm wishing with you. So, because like you said, if he's not coming back to UT, I don't want to see him in the SEC.
No, exactly.
And finally, speaking of UT, could Rodney Garner be on the move?
I mean, it's really just Twitter chatter. I think there are a lot of Auburn people who want to bring him home. As
I can see why they would.
Well, yeah, he's the best recruiter in the Southeastern Conference, in my opinion.
Period.
Bar none.
Bar none.
I mean,
I don't even know who number 2 is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a distant list after Rodney Garner to me. Now, that being said, does Auburn want someone that age? That being said, does Rodney Garner want to work for Hugh Freeze? Why would you leave Tennessee?
That's the bigger question.
Why would you leave Tennessee to go to Auburn right now?
And work for Hugh Freeze.
And oh, by the way, on top of that, but it is his alma mater, and the family's the family. And as much as I make fun of it, it's not untrue.
It would be his 3rd stint at Auburn. He began his coaching career at Auburn, was there 6 seasons as tight ends coach, assistant strength and conditioning coach, and recruiting coordinator.
Surprise.
Yeah. He was there from 13 to 20 as associate head coach and defensive line coach. And considering his only official title at Tennessee is defensive line coach, I would imagine that there would be some assistant head coach, associate head coach, something like that to sweeten the pot at Auburn. Auburn, which I would imagine is really wanting to bring someone in of a Rodney Garner caliber, having lost Cadillac not too long ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that Hugh Freeze has been a really good recruiter in college football. We do not know that Hugh Freeze has been a really good recruiter in this era of college football. And take from that whatever you would like. I'm not sure. I'm curious if Hugh Freeze realizes that he can't do this on his own the way that he is used to doing it. Perhaps he has had a light bulb go off, come to some realization that it's a lot harder today than it has been in the past. And so, if that's the case and you're going to go after somebody, it's a great move by Hugh Freeze. I mean, a no-brainer. But
I don't know.
I can't see it.
What about this makes this an attractive situation
for Rodney
Garner?
Nothing. Nothing. None of it makes sense for Rodney Garner outside of it's Auburn. If he wants to finish his career there, whatever.
I'm not sure. I mean, Rodney Garner is about 55-ish.
Gosh, he's older than that. He's been doing this for 34 years.
He played at Auburn from 85 to 88.
Well, that was 40 years ago.
I know. But he's younger than me.
How is he not 62?
Why would he be 62? Again, he played from 85 to 88, which means he graduated from high school in 85.
Okay. Sorry. I thought, for whatever reason, I thought you said he ended in 85.
No.
Okay. Well, that makes more sense.
Yep. Thank you. The math wasn't mathing, was it?
It was not. In my head, it was not working.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been coaching for 34 years.
So, I mean, I'm not sure that he's thinking about his last stop just yet. And the stop that he's currently at, I would think that objectively speaking, Tennessee's trajectory is a little bit different than Auburn's?
I think so. I think Tennessee is definitely on the upswing and Auburn is not.
So
let's talk
some things to see. Yeah. Some things to keep an eye on.
No doubt.
Here over the next few weeks. And speaking of keeping an eye on things, college football playoff, again, goes to 12 teams the next time it takes place. How's that going to work? When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, we will take a look at some of the things that might be factoring into how that's going to look. Stay tuned.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat.
She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Like, apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio too.
As do we. And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every Main Street in Middle Tennessee, Coach.
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone.
Welcome back to the final segment of the day of Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Maurice Patton. That's Chris Yao. And the run of show says CFP Future. Since you typed in the run of show, I'll hand you my crystal ball.
Well, I don't think the crystal ball is going to tell us what's going to happen because I don't think anybody knows. Obviously, the college football playoff is in a transition period to 12 teams. Now, whether or not that means a 5-7 model or a 6-6 model is still up in the air. And the reason is because, as we told you earlier, Washington State President Kirk Schultz seeks guarantees of voting rights revenue distribution for the Pac-2 beyond 2025. And I understand exactly where he's coming from. Obviously, I understand why the other conferences are angry. But
I don't know that the other conferences should be angry. I mean, I think they should understand, particularly the ACC and the Big Ten should understand because they are the ones that benefited from the implosion of the Pac-12 the most.
Well,
I mean, you know what happened to the conference, and you know what happened to Oregon State and Washington State.
I think.
How are you going to be angry at them for looking out for themselves?
Right. What I would suggest Washington State and Oregon State say is, why are we different from Notre Dame?
Of course, there's
a
a million answers to that question.
There's a big difference. There's obviously Notre Dame has a lot different track record, but if it's the Power 5 or Power 4 and Notre Dame, well, again, the Pac-2, one, is still a conference at least for 2 more years. If the college football playoff does not give them some sort of assurances, how can they rebuild the Pac-12?
Mm-hmm.
Right. If they're not willing to give them those assurances, well, then they don't get anything they want for the next 2 years, because Kirk Schultz is going to rightfully say no.
He's going to obstruct everything until he gets
Something
what he wants. Yeah.
And so, that's,
and deservedly so.
That's kind of they're really playing a game of chicken right now. If I'm the G5, I love this. Because the Pac-12 can't, or the Pac-2 doesn't get that auto bid because they only have two members. You have to have 8. But the 6-6 model stays in place, which means 2 G5 teams get auto bids.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're playing both sides of this coin here, hoping that Schultz continues while also voting against Schultz to save face so that they don't upset the powers that be.
So they're playing both sides of the fence.
Absolutely.
So they're hanging out with Kurt at the bar saying, yeah, dude, keep doing you. And then, like you said, voting against him in the meeting room.
Because you still got to save face with the guys who, after 2025, will be buttering your bread.
Mm-hmm.
I still think the G5 should leverage that top 8 seed.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't think, and I know that if we're saying this, somebody else has to, but I've not seen anybody else think that this was even, like, do we need to get Judy McLeod on the phone? Has anybody else thought, hey, this might be a negotiating tactic for us? I'm just saying, I don't know if any G5s have mentioned it in the college football playoff rooms, but I've not seen it mentioned anywhere else.
Anything that you're reading, yeah.
Nobody who covers Group of Fives is saying this.
And it makes perfectly good sense.
It really does. And so,
because I mean, if you are a G5, why should you have to? If you're the best G5, why shouldn't you be able to host a game in that round?
You should, you shouldn't be automatically relegated to 12, is the point. That's, and I feel like in most cases, that's going to happen.
If it's not already in place.
Despite the history. Mm-hmm. That being said, if the 5-7 model does eventually pass, then you're kind of stuck.
With the Power 4 and 1 G5.
1 G5 and then 7 at-larges. I still think that's
which will all be Power 5s.
I still think that's going to end up happening. I just don't know how we get there. I don't know if, because here's the thing. If the college football playoff says, okay, well, if you can build your conference and you can get back to 10 or 12 teams,
or at least 8,
then we will assure you
hold a spot for you.
This, for this number of this payout.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not sure what the risk is to the college football playoff. If they do it, well, then it is what it is. I mean, the only risk is you're going to get one less Big Ten, ACC, SEC team in.
Right.
And I'm not even sure the ACC belongs in that. Is we one less Big Ten or SEC team. That's the risk. And by 2026, man, there didn't be no Big Ten, SEC to deal with. So again,
which means there might not be a college football playoff to deal with.
What's the risk to the college football playoff to say, okay, fine, give you this assurance that, you know, we are negotiating this number or this percentage. Maybe it's a little less than what the Power Fours are getting, but it's still a little more than what the other G5s are getting in order to entice other G5s to come in for payouts.
I'm looking at the CBS Sports story on this topic, and Charlie Baker in December, proposed a different subdivision for college football.
I just don't see it.
Would this be for like the middle ground between the Power 4/5 and FCS, or is this?
I think so. And I don't think that that's it. I think that that is the best thing for the
lower half of the Power 5,
for the vast majority of that subdivision.
Those schools that are not in that 18 schools that make up 50% of the college football viewership, but are in Power 5.
But the college football playoff is where the money is. They're not going to get more money than FCS gets, because the same number of people are going to watch the G5 playoff as watch the FCS playoff. I'm sorry.
You think?
Yeah, there's just.
I mean, if you're Missouri, if you're Illinois.
Oh, I think there are probably 58 teams that would go to the upper echelon, not 18. And I think Missouri and Illinois are on the edge.
I'd be interested to see
where that line is.
If it went to 3 tiers like that, where the dividing line would be.
The line would be that's what we would have to decide in order to know if that would work. Yeah. It would be close to see. Yeah, I just don't know.
And not just where the line is, but who falls
on either side, the cut on the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 5 here and the 5 there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first last 5 in, first 5 out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Man.
Flown by.
When you're having fun, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So tomorrow's Main Street Sports Today, we will visit, as we do every Tuesday, with Chip Walters, who has his fingers on the pulse of activity at Middle Tennessee State. And we don't have a second guest yet.
Not yet.
But I'm sure between now and 2 o'clock tomorrow we will. So it's also Top 5 Tuesday.
It is Top 5 Tuesday. I'm hoping that we can get in the top 5 celebrity sports fans.
Oh, goodness. That'll be interesting. Come back tomorrow at 2 o'clock and see what we do come up with here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll see you then.